You ever sit there staring at your phone, waiting for a text that never comes? It's like your stomach drops. Your chest feels heavy. Your brain starts inventing 100 stories, none of them good. Maybe she's losing interest. Maybe she's talking to someone else. Maybe you weren't enough in the first place. And you hate that you care this much. You hate that a single text, or the lack of it, can decide whether you sleep peacefully tonight or spiral into overthinking until sunrise. Deep down, you know this isn't the first time. It's happened before. Different woman, same feeling. That sick, sinking dread when she pulls away. The panic when her replies slow down. The crushing moment when she says, "I'm not ready for anything serious." You tell yourself you'll be stronger next time. Cooler, more confident, less desperate. But you and I both know the truth. Next time usually feels exactly the same. Because the real problem isn't her. It's not her silence. It's not her excuses. The real problem is that you keep handing over your sense of worth like it's hers to decide. And that's exactly why this video exists. To show you how to break that cycle for good. To show you how to become the kind of man who doesn't get destroyed by rejection, silence, or games. Not by avoiding women, not by building walls, but by building something far stronger inside yourself so that no woman ever has the power to hurt you again. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most men think they can outsmart heartbreak. They believe if they say the right things, look sharp enough, make enough money, or keep the conversation interesting, they'll never get rejected. They tell themselves, if I do everything right, she'll have no reason to walk away. But that belief is a trap. It's the reason you keep ending up in the same cycle, no matter how many times you swear it'll be different. Because what happens? You start obsessing over every signal she gives you. One shift in her tone, and your mood changes. One delay in her reply, and your chest tightens. You start analyzing her words like a detective looking for clues. You replay her texts, wondering if there's some hidden meaning. You strategize when to message, how long to wait, and how to act. So you don't come across as too eager. And before you even realize it, you've become a performer in your own life, bending and twisting yourself to match what you think she wants. But here's the brutal reality: you can't control her. You can't control if she wakes up tomorrow and decides she's not feeling it. You can't stop her from getting bored, changing her mind, or choosing someone else. And the more you try to control the uncontrollable, the weaker you become. That's the paradox. The more you chase certainty, the more desperate and powerless you look. And women sense that desperation instantly. This is why you feel stuck in a loop, because you've built your emotional stability on her responses. You've handed her the keys to your self-worth. Every smile, every text, every compliment becomes your lifeline. And when she pulls away, even slightly, it feels like you're suffocating. Not because of what she did, but because of what you made it mean. Her silence isn't just silence anymore. To you, it's proof that you're not enough, that you'll always be abandoned, that you'll never have what you want. Think about it. The pain you feel when she ghosts you isn't in the missing message. It's in the story your mind creates. She didn't text back. Neutral fact. But your brain twists it into, she's losing interest. She's already seeing someone else. I'm about to lose everything. That's why it hurts. Not because of reality, but because of the meaning you attach to it. And here's where most men get it wrong. They think the solution is to improve their game. Be smoother, be more attractive, get more success, so she'll never dare to leave. But that only makes the prison stronger, because even if it works, even if you get her attention, you're still chained to her approval. You're still vulnerable. You're still one unanswered message away from collapse. The The battlefield isn't her behavior. It's not whether she stays or leaves. The real battlefield is inside your mind. That's where you win or lose. And until you see that clearly, you'll keep fighting the wrong war. If the battlefield is inside your mind, then the question becomes, where did the war even begin? Why is it that one unanswered text can tear you apart? Why does rejection feel like death instead of just disappointment? The answer lies deeper than you think. It's not just about her, it's about you. It's about the wounds you've carried long before she ever showed up. Every man has a story. Maybe you grew up feeling invisible. Maybe your parents were there physically, but absent emotionally. Maybe you learned early that love was conditional. You had to perform, behave, or achieve just to earn attention. And whether you realize it or not, those old experiences carved patterns into your mind. Patterns that now control how you react to women without you even noticing. So when she ignores you, it's not just her silence that hurts. It's the echo of every time you felt unwanted as a kid. When she pulls away, it's not just a shift in interest. It's the return of that old fear that you're unlovable at your core. When she cancels a date, it's not just a scheduling change. It's a trigger that reopens the wound of abandonment you've been carrying for years. And here's the thing about wounds. They don't disappear just because you bury them. They wait. They sit in your unconscious mind, hidden but powerful, ready to explode whenever someone presses the same old button. That's why your reactions often feel way too big for the situation. Why a small rejection feels catastrophic. Why you sometimes act needy, angry, or desperate, even though logically you know better. It's not about logic. It's about programming. To survive those old experiences, your mind developed defenses. Some men learned to shut down and avoid emotions. Others became people pleasers, bending over backward to keep everyone happy. Some turned to aggression or constant chasing, mistaking pressure for passion. These strategies may have kept you safe back then, but now they sabotage your relationships. You don't see it happening until you're in the middle of it, repeating the same cycle, wondering why you always end up here. The truth is, you can't out-strategize wounds you refuse to face. You can't charm, hustle, or seduce your way out of pain that lives in your unconscious. Healing starts with awareness, with pulling those buried experiences into the light where you can finally see them. That's why rejection feels like such a gift in disguise. Every time a woman triggers that old pain, she's showing you exactly where your healing needs to happen. It's uncomfortable. It hurts. But until you deal with the pain you've been avoiding, it will keep running your life, and you'll keep mistaking women's behavior for the cause, when really, they're just the spark that lights the fire already inside you. So here's the turning point. If the pain doesn't come from her, but from the stories inside you, then the solution isn't to play smarter games. It isn't to text better, look cooler, or get richer. The real solution is to stop outsourcing your worth and finally face the wounds you've been running from. That doesn't mean building walls and pretending you don't care. It doesn't mean becoming cold, bitter, or detached. Real strength isn't about shutting off your emotions. It's about owning them. It's about integrating every part of yourself, the confident side, the scared side, the needy side, the insecure side, into one complete man who can't be shaken by someone else's behavior. Integration is the moment you stop fighting your own humanity. You stop treating your need for love as weakness. You stop treating rejection as proof of your failure. You stop hiding behind the mask you've been wearing just to look strong. Because let's be honest, that mask is exhausting. You put it on every day, acting like you're unaffected, pretending you don't care, forcing confidence that doesn't feel real. Meanwhile, your real self, the one that actually craves connection, fears abandonment, and sometimes feels insecure, remains buried behind the act. Dismantling that mask feels terrifying at first. It feels like standing naked in a room full of people who might laugh. But here's the paradox. Vulnerability is not weakness. Vulnerability, when chosen, is strength. Because when you admit to yourself, yes, rejection hurts. Yes, I want love. Yes, I feel insecure sometimes. You take back control. You're no longer enslaved by the parts of yourself you've been trying to hide. This is what psychologists call individuation, the process of becoming a whole individual instead of a collection of reactions. It's the shift from being a puppet pulled by approval and rejection to becoming a man anchored in his own values, his own standards, his own worth. That's when the game changes, because instead of chasing her validation to feel good, you become the source of your own validation. Instead of needing her to prove your value, you live as proof of your own value. This path is not easy. It's lonely at times, because it means walking away from the groups, habits, and beliefs that kept you trapped. It means admitting that you've been chasing women not out of love, but out of fear. It means facing the emptiness you've been trying to cover with their attention. But it's also the only path to freedom, because once you build that inner foundation, rejection loses its teeth. Ghosting stops being a crisis. Her silence stops being a verdict. They become information, not identity. That's when you realize the power was never in her hands. It was always in yours. Here's the shift that separates men who keep getting crushed from the men who become unshakable responsibility. The moment you take ownership of your reactions, everything changes. That doesn't mean blaming yourself for her actions. It means understanding that no one can make you feel worthless without your cooperation. The devastation of rejection isn't created by her walking away. It's created by the story you choose to tell yourself about what it means. Most men never see this. They get stuck in the victim narrative. She hurt me. Women are cruel. Dating is unfair. And sure, that story feels comforting because it protects you from facing the truth. But it also keeps you powerless, because as long as she's the villain, you're just a hostage. Responsibility shatters that prison. It says if I feel desperate, it's because I've been giving away my worth. If I keep attracting women who treat me badly, it's because I've been allowing it, choosing it, enabling it. And if I created it, I can change it. At first, this feels brutal. Nobody wants to admit that the patterns in their love life are partly their own doing. It's much easier to point fingers, but the moment you own it, you realize something liberating. If you're the one creating the problem, then you are also the one who can create the solution. You stop waiting for women to change. You stop hoping the next one will finally fix you. And instead, you start fixing yourself. This is where emotional sovereignty begins. Sovereignty means you no longer let external chaos dictate your internal state. You stop letting her texts decide your mood. You stop letting her approval determine your confidence. You stop letting her rejection define your identity. Your emotions stop being commands that control you and start being information that guides you. Rejection isn't an order to chase. Loneliness isn't an order to settle. These feelings are signals, not sentences. Think about how different your life becomes once you master this. When she pulls back, you don't spiral. When she criticizes you, you don't crumble. When she leaves, you don't beg. Instead, you pause, you breathe, you feel the discomfort, but you don't let it control your next move. That calm, that grounded presence, that's what women feel. And ironically, The less desperate you are for their validation, the more magnetic you become. Because real confidence can't be faked. It's not about playing hard to get. It's not about memorizing lines. It's the energy of a man who knows his worth without needing anyone to confirm it. And here's the paradox that changes everything the moment you stop needing approval. That's when you finally start receiving it. That is sovereignty. That is power. And that is the beginning of freedom. Responsibility and sovereignty set the stage. But to truly become unshakable, you need something deeper, what I call your masculine core. Think of it like the foundation of a building. If it's weak, every storm knocks you down. If it's solid, nothing moves you. Most men crumble in relationships not because of women, but because they've never built that foundation. Your masculine core is made of purpose, strength, and independence. Purpose comes first. Without it, you drift. You make women your mission. You live to please, to chase, to win approval. And when she walks away, your whole world collapses because she was your world. But when you have a real mission, a career, a passion, a goal that gives your life meaning, you stop clinging to women for identity. She becomes an addition to your life, not the reason for it. Strength is the second pillar. And I don't just mean muscles, though physical strength matters. When you push your body, when you train, when you build discipline, you prove to yourself that you're capable. That physical proof bleeds into emotional strength. Because when you know you can endure physical struggle, you trust yourself to endure emotional struggle. Confidence grows from evidence, not empty affirmations. The third piece is independence. Too many men lean on women for things they should handle themselves: emotional support, social life, financial stability, even daily living. And every area where you depend on her is a weakness she can exploit, intentionally or not. Independence means you know how to regulate your emotions without her soothing you. You know how to support yourself financially. You know how to manage your home, your friendships, your hobbies, your sex life, without depending on her for fulfillment. That's what makes you free. Boundaries are the glue that holds all of this together. Weak men tolerate disrespect because they're terrified of losing her. They let late replies slide. They ignore lies. They accept manipulation, all because they'd rather have her than risk being alone. But here's the truth: if enforcing your boundaries makes her leave, that's not a loss. That's a win, because it reveals she was never here for you, only for what she could take from you. Quality women respect boundaries. They want men who can say no. They want men who can walk away from drama. They want men who value themselves enough not to settle for scraps. Boundaries aren't about being harsh. They're about demonstrating, through action, that your dignity is not for sale. This is the paradox of the masculine core. The more self-sufficient you become, the less desperate you are. And the less desperate you are, the more attractive you become. Because nothing is more magnetic than a man who is complete in himself. A man who doesn't need approval to feel valuable. A man who stands firm, no matter who stays or leaves. That's the man women can't manipulate. That's the man who finally takes his power back. Once you've built your core, something powerful happens. Your awareness expands. You stop reacting blindly to every shift in her mood, and you start seeing the bigger picture. You begin to recognize patterns, both hers and yours. And that awareness is what frees you from the emotional roller coaster most men never escape. When a woman pulls back, the average man panics. He texts more. He pushes harder. He tries to fix whatever went wrong. But when you're aware, you don't fall for that trap. You see her hot and cold behavior for what it often is, a way to test control, not genuine confusion about her feelings. Instead of reacting, You respond with choice. You decide whether her actions align with the kind of woman you actually want. The same goes for your own patterns. Maybe you notice how you always chase harder the moment she pulls away. Maybe you see how you shut down whenever conflict arises. That awareness is everything. Because once you catch yourself in the pattern, you can break it. You can pause. You can choose a different response, one that serves your strength instead of your fear. Expanded awareness also lets you separate facts from stories. She didn't reply for 3 hours. That's a fact. But the story your brain spins. She's losing interest. She's texting another guy. She's about to leave you. That's optional. Most of your pain isn't created by reality. It's created by the meaning you assign to reality. Once you understand this, rejection stops being devastation. It becomes data. Her silence becomes feedback. Her leaving becomes information about compatibility, not proof of your failure. And here's the irony. The moment rejection loses its power to break you, you stop fearing it. When you stop fearing it, you show up more authentic, more grounded, more magnetic. You stop performing, stop pretending, stop twisting yourself into whatever you think she wants. And that authenticity is exactly what quality women crave, but rarely find. The men who stay trapped are the ones who never expand their awareness. They stay blind to their own wounds. They stay blind to manipulation. They keep reacting instead of choosing. But the man who sees clearly is untouchable. He knows what's real, what's story, and what's not worth his energy. He knows when to engage and when to walk away. That's the power of expanded awareness. It's not about avoiding women or building walls around your heart. It's about seeing the game for what it is and refusing to play it on anyone else's terms, but your own. Every man has felt the sting of rejection. Every man knows the gut punch of silence, the confusion of mixed signals, the ache of watching someone slip away. But here's the truth. Most men never learn until it's too late. None of that pain was ever about her. It was always about you. It was always about the wounds you avoided, the stories you believed, and the power you gave away. And now you see the path out. It isn't about memorizing pickup lines or perfecting strategies. It's not about becoming colder or pretending you don't care. It's about building a foundation so solid that no one can shake it. It's about reclaiming the keys to your own worth. Because the man who owns himself cannot be broken by anyone else. Rejection will still happen. Disappointment will still come. That's life. But when you've done the work, rejection becomes information, not devastation. Criticism becomes feedback, not an attack. A woman's behavior becomes data, not a verdict on your value. You stop bleeding from every little cut because you've built armor from the inside out. And that's the paradox. The moment you no longer need approval is the moment you naturally attract it. The moment you stop chasing is the moment women lean in. The moment you stop fearing rejection is the moment you become the kind of man who can't be ignored. Because confidence is not about faking it. It's about living from a place where you no longer depend on anyone else to complete you. So remember this: every woman who hurt you was never your downfall. She was your teacher. Every rejection was a map pointing to the wounds you needed to heal. Every silence was an opportunity to find your own voice. Every loss was a step toward becoming unshakable. And if you're tired of playing the same game and losing the same way, this is your wake-up call. Stop waiting for someone else to hand you worth. Stop blaming. Stop chasing. Stop performing. Build yourself. Complete yourself. And watch how everything in your life changes. Because the man who no longer fears rejection is the man who finally becomes free. The man who stops needing women's approval is the man women respect the most. And the man who masters himself is the one who wins, not because he's playing the game better, but because he's no longer playing at all. If this message hit you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a brother who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more if you're ready to step into real strength. Because this journey doesn't end here. It begins here. And the difference between men who stay stuck and men who rise is simple. Some keep seeking completion from others, while the others finally decide to complete themselves.